We are not doomed. There is a way. We can actually do something about the place that we find ourselves in. And it doesn't mean that it has anything to do with the elections, riots, protesting, or any other measure to try to bring a resolve. The humble ones that have been sent have been given codes, specifically the latter-day generation, which is the resolve to our current problem. What we have to realize is that if we continue pointing outwardly that other people are creating the problem, if only they would just line up with the way I think, then we will never look to where the problem really lies, because it lies within us. If we cannot reconcile ourselves within, finding peace, no longer dual in nature, then our current state will continue. The war that we see that manifests on the outside is really a projection of the war we all face on the inside. This is a spiritual problem that will never be solved by politicians or more restrictions. It will not be fixed by protests or even non-compliance, because all of those things are external reactions to the catalyst meant to wake us up to do something. Too many sleep. We need to see things for what they are, that these catalysts that are happening are a jolt to wake us up. The Galactic Federation is just a catalyst. That is all. They squeeze us to produce oil in our own lamps. So if you want to help fix this and help, then resolve the internal conflict within. I'm preaching here, I'm sorry. I don't mean specifically to point out that you are the problem, because honestly, we all are and have been. The codes that I speak of are connected to the language of duality that was used to shape this place that we now find ourselves in at this point in time. For confirmation of this, please look at something that was just released called the Pyramid Codes. The document, which was written in Hebrew, was then translated into English, but the codes were not given with the document. So it was just a plain text that is giving history and giving information that is necessary. The publisher does not have the codes, but this written document is highly encoded. This paper was given to the Jews, as the publisher is one who lives in New York, a young man who is 23 years old that was asked to do this task. The codes have been given to the Goyim, the Gentiles, those who are of the 10 northern tribes of the patriarch Israel, in order to bring peace. Peace is not going to be established in the Middle East by a treaty. It's only going to happen when we find peace within. These codes were only restored because those who are real and not just scenery or backdrops have been humbled sufficiently enough, having grown up enough, that we are now ready to receive them again. They were here, and they were abused, and then they were taken away. Because as creators, as children, we took advantage of them. We needed to learn to grow up. We created our own problems, and now we have been given the tools to fix it. So what are these codes connected to? Well, I already partially shared it. These codes are affixed to the Hebrew and Aramaic writings, which are also highly coded writings that existed long before the state of Israel became a nation. And I'm discussing that the languages are. The Jews didn't create it. This was here long before the Jews showed up. I should let you know that I am not Jewish, and the Jewish people would consider me Goyim. And that's okay, because really both sides will be humbled because of this, and we need to be if we're going to find true unity. The controllers took the language and twisted it into a playbook that we are seeing unfold before our eyes. They sterilized and removed its power by translating it into English. And why is this unfolding before our eyes? Because we agreed to it. We took the translation in English and said, this is so, because we were told that this was inspired by God, so therefore it must be. So how could they twist it? How could they make this narrative? Wouldn't that be a violation? No, it wouldn't. Because Hebrew and Aramaic have been specifically created possessing duality within it. And for those of you who have studied it, you know what I'm talking about. Well, we need to know that this is a long game and only could happen by those who live a long life, longer than our short 80-some years. We die, we go through the veil of forgetting everything that we learned, entering in knowing nothing, repeating the same patterns again and again, never growing spiritually or in our consciousness levels, as they are both tied together. So how many people right now do you know that are speaking this word out, apocalypse? You even see it in movies, time and time again, this catastrophic events. Why? To produce fear. That's the only reason. Many are speaking of it right now. It is time to expose the lies and shed those lies to expose the truth. Apocalypse is from a Greek word that means the revealing. So the book of Revelation is called the book of the revealing of the Christ. This will be shocking to some of you. It doesn't mean that it's the revelation of Jesus Christ. It does not mean his return either. That's a narrative that was written in English to give a false hope so that you wouldn't do anything, waiting for a savior to show up and fix everything. So what is this revealing? It is those that will have the Christ anointing that will be revealed. Those who have elevated their conscious levels enough to the point of the Christ consciousness, crystalline consciousness. Christ is not Yeshua's last name. It means anointed. This false apocalypse is unfolding because the controllers created it and then we agreed to it, thus manifesting it. So why did this virus happen? Well, it's the narrative that's been in a playbook called a plague. It isn't real, but to some it is because they are manifesting it by agreeing to it. That is why there is such chaos right now for some of the people out there that are saying that it isn't real and the others that are saying it is real. Duality. Two sides, same coin. An original narrative that was in a playbook that was twisted from the intention of the words that it was originally penned in. You always have both sides. The virus exists. The virus doesn't exist. You get to choose what is your reality. So, this has to do with the will of the people. This squeeze that we are all experiencing and manifesting is happening one country at a time. And you can see this. The one that is brought, to a real forefront is Venezuela. They voted in that which our country is trying to put forth, and we can see how it's gone for them. Not well. Why? Because it is a squeeze. But we can stop it. The Federation is following our will, the will of the people, because it is at a 51% mark. So we need to change that. We need to will it to be different. It is by our will that we manifest these things. And what I'm telling you, this is tangible and it is real. How do I know? Because I have changed. I'm remembering. My first incarnation was revealed to me, and others as well. How did this happen? By the codes. I read them, I studied them, and then they do their own magic, if you want to call it that, within by unsealing things that were sealed. By learning the codes, we literally can rewrite ourselves as it expands our consciousness. It's not about like punching buttons in some computer to unlock something, open sesame or abracadabra. You become the codes. And when you become them, you see different. It expands your consciousness. And that is when you can see the game of duality. And when you see it and reconcile this within yourself, this is a process of raising your vibrational frequency and at the same time affecting the collective. Duality is a school of learning to find 0 point, the place where we find balance, and the place where there are no distortions. Good and evil, bitter and sweet, black and white are the same coin having two different sides, two different faces. This or that, you choose. You experience it. You experience one face of the coin, and then you come to experience the other face in order to learn and gain wisdom. Then, by having seen that it is the same coin, you can reconcile both as you have turned to look at it with neither face forward. 0 point, with no distortions. This is the reconciling. It is then that you can see that both exist at the same time. Different polemics, same coin, different faces. But now they have reconciled to find the balance. Learning tools, now having no distortions, finding the peace and harmony within the two oppositions. This is the meaning of at-one-ment, atonement, making one of the two. Then you will see that there is then no more need to play this game that we're in of duality in the matrix, as then all becomes reconciled as one. End the game. The way out is death. But if you die to self, then you are already dead. Let me explain that. What we are needing to die to when we hear the phrase dying to self means that we literally vanquish the beast ego nature that is actually placed within us as soon as we enter in, as soon as we are born. It is something that is attached to the physical vehicles that we live in as a learning tool that shows that we are separate consciousness, that we have separate points of view, separate points of attention. However, there's a negative side to it as well, because we live in duality. So you're going to have both sides, the positive and the negative, the yin and the yang. This is the nature of the game. The side that makes things difficult is that the beast ego nature feeds on fear, because fear continually divides. And it reinforces the lie that we are all separate. Again, it's a learning tool. There's no need to be angry about it. Just realize that it's a learning tool and then reconcile it. Self is the beast ego. Everyone is concerned about receiving the mark of the beast. And in my last from the heart video, I shared what that was, as they have changed it to say that the beast of revelation, which is actually Kayutha, is that which we need to point to externally. Oh, the beast is coming. No, the beast is already here. The true beast. It lives in every single one of us, and this is a very hard pill to swallow. The beast lives within us right now and sets itself in the temple up as God. That has already happened, people. We don't need to wait for the external to happen, which it will, because it's a narrative that is being created by our collective consciousness, because we're agreeing to the English scriptures in order to keep your attention on something external instead of seeing that the real problem is within. Self is the beast ego that sets itself up as God in the temple. So what do we need to do? We need to get rid of the beast ego nature. It's then and only then that we reconcile this, that we will begin to see each other as ourselves and be able to stop this warring. Because again, when you see it on the outside, there's always something that is being promoted. You know, the Muslim are against the Jews and the Christians are against the Muslims and the Jews and the Jews. I mean, it's this vicious circle that goes round and round. The Democrats are against the Republicans are against the Democrats, the whites are against the blacks against the white. All the minorities are feeling that there's white supremacy. I mean, this is a narrative that is continually reinforcing the beast ego nature. It is that we need to get rid of. So whether we die in the physical or we are activated in our rainbow body, which is still the death to the beast ego, it makes no difference. However it happens, we will advance to the next level if we can comprehend this, make it happen, and let it be an epiphany. Because as soon as it hits that mark, then you are changed. What people call ascension is actually spiritual growth. And it is something that you must do to obtain. It's not something that just happens, you know, subconsciously. You're going around and walking on your day and shopping and watching your movies and eating your favorite foods, which, by the way, the reason why this lockdown was permitted was an additional squeezing layer so that it would force you to stop doing the external things that keep you busy and keep you distracted so that you can actually take the time to work on the inside. What else are you going to do? But then people stay indoors, they watch Netflix all the day, binge eat, and now you're getting fat. Sorry, these are hard truths, but it really is the reality. It was meant that you would actually stop and wake up and start doing the inside work to resolve the problem. Because until we do, the outside influencers are going to continue to lock us down and lock us down and lock us down until we rise up and do something. But the external conflict will never make it happen. You have to go inside. So, the codes. The codes are what are going to help us and are helping us to ascend spiritually, to grow. It is what we can actually do to activate this and to change in order to become. This way was available that would take people 40 years of meditation to achieve. But this is a way that can be achieved much faster because it literally is the blueprint to do it. Because it activates as you study it. As you study it, you're applying it because you're actually releasing the living word to do the work within to kill the beast. I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago. I've completely rewritten myself, revealing who I really am, as reconciled. I have achieved at-one-ment within myself, which is an incredibly humbling process where now I have become fruit. I don't have to try to manifest the fruit of the Spirit. I've become fruit. I just am. And that is not even saying it in the place of pride and arrogance. It is simply saying I partnered with the process which took much long suffering. And I'm currently watching the same transformation happen with my stepson. This is just the beginning. We can swing the tide and change the narrative, and it doesn't have to end the way it currently appears that it's heading towards. It's up to the humble ones that actually have all of the power, you just don't know it, in order to change the narrative. This allows you literally to become the Word in the flesh, just like Yeshua did. He made the way for us. Now it is time to take what He did for us and apply it. It wasn't about Him dying for our sins. He was showing us a way by making it available for people that would begin to walk in humility so that we would change enough in the course of time that the codes then would be revealed to us because we would be given the eyes to see it and the ears to hear and obey it. I'm sorry this is so long. I would like to keep these expressions of my heart shorter, but there is much to be said. I just wanted to share this so that you know that there literally is a way to solve this. But it's an internal problem, not an external. So if you're curious, please look at some of our other videos. And if you do have questions, email me because I'm available. I want to assist in any way possible. All we are to do is point the way, and the rest is up to each of us to finish this race well within. Our work automatically raises the collective as a whole. This literally is the greatest service we can offer one another. And this is how we serve others by doing the work within. This is service to others rather than service to self, because we're not controlling and we're not manipulating and we're not seeking to elevate ourselves. In fact, this is just the opposite. It is what we do to humble ourselves so that we can serve one another by doing the work within. And then, when you become it, you turn and point out the way to those who are seeking. So my advice is, let the sleeping dogs lie. But for those who are awake, well, that's another story to be written. Shalom and namaste.